So if you hadn't already noticed, we are huge fans of women's rugby, and we were so fortunate to interview Mel from Harvard Rugby.
Coach Mel Denham, Harvard Rugby.
Yes, what an awesome interview that was. Today we'd like to share a little bit more with you about the girls' opportunity. So first of all, Alema, let's talk about the culture of rugby. Kind of let us know, what's the difference that you see from rugby versus other sports?
Rugby is one of those sports that they value team chemistry, team culture, and they don't really have any pretenses of having to get up for a game and be angry at your opponent. That's not rugby's deal. What rugby focuses on is having a good match and playing creatively and inspired rugby, doing things that are positive and not focusing on any fake emotion or hatred towards the opponent. It really is about honoring the game and playing in a way that'll not only elevate yourself but elevate your opponent as well. There's a lot of honor in rugby that's sometimes missing in other sports where they focus on the individual. But the thing is about rugby is you can't win a game at all without doing it as a team.
So you're talking about culture. How do they come together after a fierce match like that?
And we're trying to take each other's heads off and really compete, and we're physical.
Just thrashed each other on the field.
Someone emerges as the victor, and then after the game, be invited by the host team to have a hot dog or have a beer or something like that with the team and talk about the game. And
so interestingly enough, that's how you end the game, right? But how do they start the game? I mean, I've seen where they do what they call a haka, right? To kind of intimidate their opponent.
The war chants that are done before games is not necessarily a way to scare the other team, and that really is up to the team to respond in whatever way that they can. But in Polynesian culture, unlike in other cultures, war is a lot of protocol in war, and that's how they consider their sports, is like going to war, put all their efforts into competition like sports. And so in the Polynesian cultures, they do come out and they challenge, and they are looking for a response of how you would accept the challenge or not accept the challenge. But that's up to the other team. But it's not necessarily to scare them, it's just to communicate to them, we're going to come after you.
Well, it certainly does set the stage. Let's take it a little bit further now. We're talking about a sport that actually was started, I think its first game was played at Harvard, right? Back in the 1800s?
One of the cool facts about rugby is the first game that was ever played in the United States was in 1858. And the first football game that was ever played in the United States was in 1869. So rugby does predate football.
A lot of history there. Now as we fast forward to today, talk a little bit about the NCAA and how that works into the rugby landscape.
So rugby right now is on the list of emerging sports in the NCAA.
Okay.
Currently there's about 20 teams, women's rugby teams in the United States that are NCAA. And when a sport has 40 plus teams that are NCAA sports, that means the university has designated the sport as a varsity sport, fully backed by the university and by the NCAA. So when that happens, when it gets to 40 plus schools, it then is eligible to become a varsity NCAA sport. Let's talk about being a varsity sport.
Okay.
So if the university has decided it will be women's rugby or a team will be a varsity sport, that means it will get all its financial support from the athletic department. That means full-time staff, strength and conditioning coaches, you have trainers at all the events, you have their travel, their gear, their nutrition, all that becomes backed by the university.
All right, so why would a girl be attracted to rugby?
So there's a lot of reasons. Rugby has a lot of skills that are needed. Girls volleyball, girls basketball, those sports have skills that transfer exactly to rugby. The idea of catching and throwing, that coordination needed, the idea of running that you have to do like in soccer, and even in track, the idea of evading really excites our girls, and they love coming to play rugby. When they first come to a rugby field and they begin to run the ball, you see smiles all around. because they're experiencing something where they're running the ball and people are chasing them and having to tackle them, and they're enjoying that aspect of it. And then when they don't have the ball, they're turning around chasing somebody and they're getting ready to tackle them. So those skills that they've learned in other sports transfer perfectly to rugby. The reason why I love seeing girls migrate over to rugby is because of the culture and the leadership opportunities that they have to be able to participate, be a contributor to their team culture, and then lead their team through their struggles through the season, preparation, all that stuff, and then ultimately to a championship that are appealing characteristics of rugby.
So empowering for our young women to get out there and take ownership. You know, our girls actually would practice with the boys rugby team, and it's funny because, you know, we used to hear the saying, oh, don't hit like a girl, don't be like a girl. And then they were out there playing, and these girls were legit national champions for about, 3 years, right? Teaching the boys how to hit like a girl, how to tackle like a girl. So this is the great thing about rugby for our women, is it really puts them in the limelight of taking ownership, and that mindset is so empowering as you're looking at moving forward with your life, going into college, going into big life decisions, careers, and just pushing your potential. I think it's wonderful.
Because these girls are technically sound in doing the jobs and everything that it comes to when it comes to going into contact, whether they're tackling or they're evading tacklers. So it's amazing to see the coaching that goes on at the high school level and then going on to the university level.
I love that you mentioned about our coaches. I don't think we give them enough appreciation for the hours, right? The travel time, the practice time, the reviewing film. I really got to hand it to our teams here. Just great work that they're doing. So thank you so much, Alema, for sharing with us today about this emerging sport, how excited we are for our girls and the opportunities that are afforded to them at these conferences, both varsity and club level. We look forward to meeting with you again. Manuia.
Keep our feet in locked